4,000 years ago, a land of strange rituals and savage cruelty. Many of their secrets are still hidden from the eyes of 20th century man. Secrets that protect their dead. Supernatural powers that once released can live again in our modern world. The Mummy, the living dead, bringing terror and death across 4,000 years. He was a high priest of the great god Karnak, until one night he attempted the ultimate in blasphemy. He was condemned to guard forever the princess he had loved and protect her from intruders.
Go and destroy those who desecrated the tomb of our princess. He who robs the graves of Egypt dies. He who robs the graves of Egypt dies.
All right, you ignorant pigs, put down your crack pipes and your beer bongs. It's time for Angry Tabletop Nerds Night at the Movies. We have our second installment for Monster Fest 2025, The Mummy, 1959, starring Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and Yvonne Furneaux. I'm probably butchering that name as we speak. Directed by Terrence Fisher, written by Jimmy Sangster. This movie, up until the point of 59. Hammer started in 57 with the Frankenstein movie. Then they did the Horror of Dracula in 58. So it only makes sense to keep going down the row of classic Universal monsters. So we come to The Mummy in 1959. Of course, the Horror of Dracula was a huge success. You got to keep capitalizing on that success because that's how your studio stays in business and makes money. This movie stars the leading man for Hammer, for most things Hammer, which is Peter Cushing, and it also stars Christopher Lee. And in this one, you got Peter Cushing playing a well-mannered British archaeologist named John Banning, who is on expedition with his Uncle Joe and father Stephen Banning. And they are outside the tomb of Ananka. And it's really simple setup, really simple set. I don't like the sets in this one that much. Just from the beginning, you can tell they're on a soundstage somewhere, and they've got all these like dark-skinned, shoe-polished Englishmen pretending to be Egyptians digging in the dirt and the summer heat. So it's a very cookie-cutter, cut-and-paste set design there. As they are about to go into the tomb, somewhere along the way, John Banning broke his leg and he's unable to enter the tomb. So Stephen and Joe go into the tomb, but they are warned not to go into the tomb by an Egyptian. And they say, why? Because of the classic reason that every tomb in Egypt carries a curse on it, and that you should never go into the tombs. Anyway, Uncle Joe and Stephen go into the tomb, they explore it, they find that indeed it is the tomb of Ananka. Just by looking at the seal, they go inside and they report. They go in there. They see all the treasure and everything. Joe goes to report to John, and then you hear a big scream. And Stephen is found in a state of shock, and they have to send him off to the nut house. What did he see? Well, there was a foreboding message by an Egyptian dude not to go into the tomb. They end up sending him back to the nut house. John and Joe go into the tomb. They raid it, and they bring all the treasures that they can back into it before blasting the entrance shut. 3 years later, your setting is in Victorian England, which is something that I really like from Hammer, is that everything is very like we're going from the 1850s to the end of the 1890s all of the time in a lot of the Hammer films. And that's a concept that I really agree with. That's where you get your concept for Gothic horror and everything like that. And of course, this wouldn't be a Hammer film if they didn't find some way to bring the mummy to the English countryside. Enter Mehmet Bey, aka the Egyptian who warned the two British guys not to go into the cursed tomb. And he brings a box of Egyptian relics there to England, which is then subsequently lost by two drunken porters, thinking that somebody's going to get out of the nut house. It's a very weak plot point. Oh no, one of the nut jobs is escaping from the nut house. Drive the carriage faster. And of course, they lose this box at the bottom of a bog. There's a lot of bogs in England, as you know. And so Mehmet Bey comes to that bog and reads from the Scroll of Life and resurrects the mummy, much in similar fashion of Friday the 13th, Part 7, where Jason is resurrected out of the lake after Part 6. And this is a very good nod to Friday the 13th. I don't think you get Jason post Part 6 after... I don't think you get the Jason without this movie. This is really the precursor to the undead revenant punishing the living. Of course, the mummy, 6.5 feet tall, walks out of the lake and everything and begins to ravage the English countryside. First person on the list to get it is Stephen Banning as the mummy in Kool-Aid Man fashion breaks through the walls of the insane asylum where he's being kept. Oh no!
Oh yeah!
33 minutes in, you come to Christopher Lee's speaking part as they tell in flashback what might have happened to Ananka's party as they went out into the desert and made this pilgrimage to a shrine somewhere. And you learn that the 6.5-foot mummy is this high priest played by Christopher Lee. And this is pretty good because they got the guy in brown shoe polish and everything. They're doing gratuitous Egyptian rites and everything like that. And of course, somewhere along this journey, Ananka dies. They mummify her. They perform the rites of Egyptian burial that's basically reserved for the nobility of that time frame. And then once they bury her, Christopher Lee goes back into the tomb, which he is not supposed to do, and they catch him, of course, and he is forced to endure the Hamdai. And that's basically an Egyptian torture, which is real, by the way, for ultimate blasphemy. If you commit blasphemy in Egypt, you endure the Hamdai, and I think they torture you and they mummify you alive, and that's usually how it works. And he was set up to be the guardian of Ananka's tomb. About an hour in, after this arc, you discover that John Banning's wife, Isabel, is the exact portrait of Ananka. And this is more fuel for the fire for the 1999 film, as this kind of solidifies the love story between the mummy and the long, long dead Ananka, as Isabel is supposed to represent her reincarnated form upon this earth. As the Bannings progress and everything, you get another scene of where the mummy just comes in through the door, tries to kill John Banning, and this conflict is interrupted by Isabel. You'll notice a lot in this movie that the mummy does not use doors. He basically kicks down windows, walls, barred prison windows to get at his victims. I actually like it. He's like, oh yeah, every time he comes through the wall, tanking gunshots, shotgun fire as he goes after John Banning. And then when Isabel comes in, she interrupts in this conflict, and you get this really great monster moment from Christopher Lee where, again, it's all in the eyes, and it's very reminiscent of Boris Karloff's performance in the 30s as Frankenstein, where you have these moments of humanity, where there's no dialogue involved. It's just kind of like some mask work where he's shooting a glance, and you see a glimpse of humanity behind the monster. Anyway, the mummy just sort of saunters off after looking at Isabel, and through the police chief and everything because there's an investigation afterwards, John Banning learns that there's an Egyptian not far from where he lives who just bought the big house in his neighborhood. John Banning goes over there to play on his neighborly call. They have a nice discussion, and then after that discussion, John Banning is convinced that the Egyptian is the one controlling the mummy because he sees the seal of Ananka's tomb on one of his tables that you keep next to doors where you might keep your keys and everything. And he tries to report this to the police chief. The police chief says, if the Egyptian tells me he's here to pick turnips, that's what I have to believe until I have hardcore evidence. Of course, the mummy comes back again, walks off with Isabel, and there's nothing he can do about it. He kills a great deal of victims, him and Mehmet Bey. Mehmet Bey tries to stop the mummy from taking the woman, tries to have the mummy destroy the woman, and Mehmet Bey meets his fate at the hands of the mummy. And as the mummy saunters off with Isabel, they get a posse together. And as he's walking through the bog with Isabel, you get another good monster moment from Lee where, as Ananka, Isabel tells Cardis, the mummy, "Put me down." And of course, Cardis obeys the command of his immortal love. They give a shotgun cannonade send-off to the mummy. The scroll of life and the mummy sink below the bottom of the bog, and they roll credits. Now, so let's get to those Slayer pit totals. We have 15 kills, 1 mummy's curse, 1 scroll of life, 4 stranglings, 5 Kool-Aid Man bust through the wall moments to get at your victims, gratuitous Egyptian burial rites, Christopher Lee and brown shoe polish face, Egyptian slave executions, 1 precursor to the Hamdain for the 1999 film, 1 secret mummy room, much like having a secret Nazi room, gratuitous Michael Ripper playing the town drunk, shotgun foo, pistol foo, guns blazing, gratuitous plot twists told in flashback, 2 stabbings, 1 backbreaker, Slayer Pit Awards to Terrence Fisher for Best Director, for doing things the Hammer way and creating an immortal classic that literally stands alone. There aren't a lot of Hammer movies that stand on their own as well as this one does. They did a sequel, somewhat of a sequel, that follows a different storyline from this one, where they bring a mummy back and everything, but this one really does shine out as one of Hammer's best standalone movies that didn't spawn any sequels, because Dracula had all kinds of sequels. Slayer Pit Awards to Christopher Lee for Best Actor for double duty parts, and then ATTN has to give this movie 4 skulls. You got to check this one out for the month of Halloween. I can't really say enough good things about this movie. I guess one of the things that hurt it from getting a perfect score is that, you know, Mehmet Bey coming out and saying, "Don't enter that tomb," and then them going into the tomb anyway. I mean, if he didn't go into the tomb, you wouldn't have a movie, but it's just usually there's always 1 or 2 weak moments of writing in these films that kind of take the score away from them. Anyway, that's it for The Mummy 1959. If you want to get in touch with me, you can use the link below for Instagram. Instagram DMs are the best way to get in touch with me. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And if you're watching on Rumble, don't forget to leave a like and a comment over there, as the algorithm works way better on Rumble. And the way the algorithmic suppression works on YouTube is for every 8 likes I get, YouTube will allow me to keep 1 unless you attach that like to a comment. Anyway, what did you think about The Mummy 1959? You can get this DVD for very cheap on eBay. I suggest to you that you put this one in your physical media library because it's a banger. It's always good to watch during the month of Halloween or the hot summer months when you need just a little bit of horror adventure in your life. Anyway, keep watching horror movies and stay metal, my friends, and we'll see you in the next one.
Here you go. Hot grilled cheese. Oh, come on now. I just made those.
Lobster!
Lobster?
Surf! Turf! Well, here, I'll take that grilled cheese.
We're frugal people, okay? We don't generally eat lobster and steak for lunch.
Curse!
You cannot be serious.
Yeah, you better try Lord of the Lobster off of 14th Street. They're the closest. And get them to throw in some of them yeast rolls with the dipping sauce.
Shut up and eat your cheese sandwich.
I'm more of an expert at exposing the moon.
I
Get out of there, let's go! See if you find the one crater.